Hey guys, so I'm uploading quite a long video just now using the goldfish method, and I thought I'd share this game with you, and we'll make this a quick one, right? 'Cause this is loads of fun, and it's got the most satisfying finish. Okay, so I'm just playing this guy, Johnny's dad, in the US. He's rated over 1500, and I'm down 1468 right now. And he's just beaten me. So in our last game, he played white and I played the French, and it went horribly wrong. And now we get a Sicilian, and I don't like playing the Sicilian very much against it, but I've been playing this Snyder variation where you fianchetto your dark squared bishop on b2, and it throws people off. Okay, so we have d6, and then I put my bishop there, and the problem with this is that it makes it hard for his dark squared bishop now to come out into the board, because the bishop could then capture g7 and the rook. So it causes him problems castling from the off. Okay, so we develop some pawns, and I'm playing this kind of maybe Grand Prix style, put the knight behind the pawns. But here I decide just to advance, get the space, and now we get this pawn pair which stays there, frustrating my bishop for nearly all the game. Okay, so I bring my other bishop out, knight comes out, knight comes out, knight comes out, and a pawn here. And now I actually realise that I've got a potential issue, because if now he plays b5, my bishop is stuck and lost. Fortunately, my opponent didn't notice that, so he brings his knight out, attacks that pawn. I defend the pawn. Still, oh no, because he can't play that straight away. He'd have to play like a6 first and then b5, and then my bishop would actually be trapped. So he brings his bishop out in front of his king, preparing to castle. And now I decide to put my bishop on b5, because the knight is currently pinned, so I know that if nothing else happens, whatever happens, I can capture the knight and swap off my bishop. So he puts his bishop there and we swap off. Okay, now of course his bishop's lined up against my rook, so I need to just be conscious of that. So I bring my knight out to defend my other knight. He castles. I move my queen, getting ready to castle long, and we have b5 and I castle. Now a5. Now h4. Harry comes in for the kill. h5 to block. And now I decide to put my knight in this pocket here, frustrating this bishop. So yes, I mean bishop could capture the knight, but then I've got queen into there, and that's a nice place for the queen to be. I actually decided in the end, actually, yes, to capture with the pawn, because it's just having this extra pawn on the e-file now helps my ideas, gives me possibilities for pushing here, kick the knight away. Where's that knight going to go? He's only got one square to go to, right? And then having that extra pawn just feels nice. So I thought I'm not bothered about taking my pawn off the d file, because it also means that this pawn is now pinned. This pawn can't really capture either way, because it'll lose his queen. So f5 takes. Knight has to retreat now, and now I play f6. Okay, so the bishop's actually got nowhere to go. The bishop is trapped, so this is forced. Takes, and now I grab this pawn here, breaking up the pawn structure that's coming down. So the pawn storm coming down towards my king. So feel pretty good about that so far. a3 is pushed, and I just drop my bishop right back into the corner. Now he captures the pawn on e5, I recapture with my knight, he brings out his knight, and I now play my knight to c6 with a fork on the queen and the bishop. So if I want to remove the bishop, I can. And with a wide open board like this, lots of space, I think this is a better game for bishops than for knights. So I initiate the exchange, and bang goes the bishop. So the situation right now, material is equal. We've both lost 3 pawns and 3 minor pieces. However, the big difference is my king is fairly secure down in his little hole, The problem for me is that my bishop is still pointing at nothing at all. Cannot get out into the game, can't go there, can't go there. So my bishop has no squares. However, black has a knight, which in a wide open game like this is not ideal. You want long range pieces, okay? So I hit the queen, force the queen to move. The queen is now attacking this pawn here. Now I'm thinking, losing that pawn is not really a disadvantage for me because it completely opens up the g-file. So am I happy about the queen maybe taking that pawn? I could have defended it. I could play rook g1, I could play queen d3, both of which would defend the pawn. So I decided instead to play my queen down to e2. So now I'm looking at this fella here. I want to get rid of this pawn and give Harry some scope up the board. Queen takes, queen takes. Now the king pushes forwards and I grab a crucial pawn on c5. Right? This was the defender of this annoying pawn on d4. So I grab that one out of the way and now I've got two attackers on this pawn. And the pawn, you notice, is also pinned because the king's behind it. So that pawn cannot move. So the queen defends once. Now here I could have simply captured with the pawn, and I'm not sure why I didn't. I could also captured with the queen, probably forcing an exchange of queens. Oh yes, well the reason is it came with check, of course, didn't it? So I have to move my king out of the way to b1. Now a rook defends, and we're in a situation with two attackers, two defenders. However, all I need to do is bring more pieces into the attack. So now we have three attackers and two defenders. And note that this knight is on a light coloured square, so wherever it moves now it's going to end up on a dark square, so it can't defend another dark square. Also, this rook can't come down to defend because of my pawn here. So the pawn on d4 is a goner. Now we have queen to e4, which I didn't quite get. Bishop takes pawn, king retreats to g8. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, a nice way to finish this, for example, would be like queen e5, queen in there to g7 checkmate. But the checkmate that I do find was even more satisfying than that. Okay, so we have h5 pushing the knight away. So the knight is currently obviously guarding this square, right? So my initial idea is queen there and then queen in. And instead of moving his knight, Johnny's dad decides to counterattack my queen. And now, white to play and win in two. Okay, and I can tell you, this is sacrificial. Okay, so pause if you like, but I'll go ahead and I'll show you. Pawn takes knight, and then you can throw in the Eric Rosen patented "oh no, my queen" expression. But can you see the trap? Now that the H pawn has vacated the H file. Rook takes queen, hurrah! Right? And now Johnny's dad is up in material, but no! Rook to H8, the king can't go there or there, or there because of the rook, and can't go there because of the bishop, and that is just a gorgeous finish involving a queen sacrifice. So there we go, 1-1 in score, and fairly satisfying. I think I lost 6 points in the first game, but I won 10 on the second one because he's higher rated at the moment. So there you go, wanted to share that. Do check out that Snyder variation. He actually put in the chat, he said, look, now I'm out of my depth. This is moves I haven't seen before, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do with some kind of anti-Sicilian. So yeah, really, really fun game, and I thought you'd enjoy it. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.